Sweet guys, welcome back to part two of how to make a book using AI. Now, we are super excited to just jump right back into it. So, guys, like, comment, subscribe, put any questions you have below because I'd love to be able to see more of what you guys are needing to do this. Um, yeah, so let's just start out right away. So remember beforehand, actually, let's go just a little smaller so we have more space. Anyway, so remember from our demo, we were able to take a concept. And remember, GPT did all this thinking for us. So this is just if you're like, I don't know how to write a book and I have no ideas and I don't know what to do, and GPT is doing all the work. So it's going to create something that's super cliche and super Hollywood, right? But that's fine because that's 70% of stories are like that. So on a scale from 1 to 10, this story is probably going to rate about a 7, just with everything we've been doing, right? But now we're going to take it and really make it our own. So after doing all that ideation at the end of part one, now, by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, part one is put earlier. So if you didn't do that, go back to that video so you can see all the work we did on our alchemist western that we did that we're making with this character Ezra. Okay, so we're going to try, and well, not trying, but we're using ChatGPT to do that. So having done all that, I'm just going to pull it out right here, and this is where we just use ChatGPT. So after doing all that, we had ChatGPT summarize the plot and summarize all the characters. Because within that, we've summarized all the characters, the setting, and the premise. That is the seed for your story and your outline, right? So we've outlined the story beats, we've established all the major characters, and we've done the setting, and we know what the story is about. So we're just going to copy all that, right? And then after doing that summary, I suggest going and making a whole new chat and then asking, hey, GPT, uh, because I'm an idiot, I just went, I'm not an idiot, but yeah, I made a mistake. It's like, today I'd like to start working on a story I made. I've already made a quick synopsis of the important points. Can you summarize everything I've done and then make 12 pictures corresponding with the plot points? Now I'm asking can because we want these to be really polite to these robots so that they don't destroy us, right? So, okay, to get started, please share the synopsis. Sweet. So it's ready and it understands what I've asked it to do. So, and then it's like, I also want you to make pictures, one one for each major character. There. So then it gives us two responses. Sweet. Now we're going to take all that we learned. So we have the five major characters, the 12 plot points, and the summary and the setting all done with that. So now I'm just going to ask GPT to throw in there and give us some output, right? So I'm going to take that plot point and I'm going to put it in here, and now it's going to start getting to work. So it's going to summarize the story here. This is the story summary, right? So it's giving each of the character analysis. Now it's going to create images for each of that, right? So these are the images for the plot points. It's sweet, guys. GPT is doing all the work. Now the reason this is working is because we understand, well, I understand how to structure it, and you understand how to structure it. So if you understand how to structure a story, you understand what questions to ask, you can go to a robot and be like, hey, I need you to make this story, understanding these plot points. Now, some of the things that are going to really make this juicy are going to be us. See, now it's demonstrating and making pictures for each part of it. And it's like part of it. Now, we might have to program, we'll see how consistent it is with each of these photos, but we're going to really shoot for it because this is in the main streamline now. But this is how I'm using each of the pictures and each of the story points to create and build the story. So it's like, man, I don't understand. This doesn't help me speed it up. Imagine taking your own ideas, right? So this is if you like had a story that you've always had or something you've worked on, how could I use these prompts and this level of engineering, this understanding of the AI to help me facilitate my story? That's what we're doing right now. This is where AI is really, really powerful. It's like, oh man, it's gonna take our jobs, it's gonna hurt us. Oh, it's keeping it consistent. This is sweet, right? So this is Ezra. There he is, good old Ezra. Now, we haven't put in his alchemy yet, right? Because that kind of got taken out, but I didn't emphasize that, but we could do that. Then we have Anna, right? And it's introducing each of the characters, right? So remember, it's just making these images and doing this. This is just ChatGPT, guys. This is incredible. So it's going to keep generating each of the characters and each of the stuff. I'm going to pause the video, and then when it's done generating, we'll talk about the next part of how we then use everything we take in, these images and everything, to then decide what kind of format of story we're going to tell, and then what we're going to build from there, right? So check out part two. Well, not part two. I'm just going to put this pause. It'll be a while for you. It'll be like 2 seconds for you guys. It'll be a while for me, but 2 seconds for you guys. Okay, guys, and we're back. Now, basically, at this point, we've created the images for all the major characters, and we have the first act in images, right? So we have an idea of the setting, we have the character, right? In this Western, right? From just choosing a genre that we decided. Now, this is not actually writing at this point. All we've done is ideate, we've outlined, we've created the characters, the settings, and all of this stuff. So we have profiles for all this. And what's cool is that GPT keeps track of all this stuff for us. So this is all going to be here, right, in the profile. So now the next part is actually writing the darn thing, right? So we have this summary of all this stuff. We have it there, and now we just need to actually write it. Now, I personally suggest um, actually taking the time and writing it because I write my own books, but we want to learn. Right now, we're just talking about how to use AI to write this. Now, AI is never going to do, not never, but at this point right now, it can outright some people, a lot of people, but it's never going to really outright a person without really direct, honest, focused input, right? So let's figure out a really organic way to break this down, but I also want to make this and keep this simple. So the next part, after we do all this, right? So now you've ideated, you've done the concepts, you know the story, you understand the plot points. Now that you know all that and you have an idea of what it's going to look like, you need to decide what type of format of book do you want this to be? What is the way you want to present it to the world, right? That's a decision as a prolific author. You need to decide now. Do you want it to be a novel? A lot of times, a lot of people take a story. There's a lot of different ways to tell a story. You could do it in a picture book. You could do it in a novel. You could do it in a novella. You could do it in a short story. What kind of story are we trying to write? Now, you might ask, well, why did we do all this part if we weren't sure what kind of story we were going to? That's the problem. It's oftentimes the reason a lot of people get stuck on what they're like, what I don't know what story is because they focus so much on the how before they know why they want to tell the story, where they want it to go, who is in the story, what's happening, and when does it take place, and when do you want to finish it. Those first five questions are the first questions you need to ask when you're starting with the story. How is something you ask way later. But the problem why most people get stuck and why you're having blocks is because you're focused on how before you figured out all the W questions. You have to ask all those W questions. Why do I want to write this story? Where do I want this story to go? And then after that, you start getting, okay, who's the story about? That's the character. What is going to happen in the story or what's taking place, right? That's kind of your premise. But in order to know that, you need to know the when and the where. And then you start going in this cycle and then you begin to ideate. And those are the fundamental questions that would create a story. But if you don't know how to do that, this AI, which already knows how to do that, will outright you. And you'll get blocked and you'll be like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. But if you ask those questions, then you get as far as we've been able to, which is now we have a story. Now that we know that story, the how we're going to write that story, how we're going to tell it is important. Now, we've been able to come up with some pretty cool pictures. I really like these pictures. We haven't even gotten into Scrivener yet. And this is where I'd like to put in the comments of guys, how do you think we should can tell this story? Because I'm legit going to go and use this AI to write this whole story out. And this is just from my own ideas, and we can do this in these little challenges. So right now, I'm going to do the whole thing on camera, and we're going to see how long it takes me to take this book from writing it out to marketing it. And that's really what I want you to do. So I'm going to put this out there. Please write and comment how you guys best think this story should be told. If I don't get any comments or likes, at the end of the weekend, I'll make my own decisions and we'll go from there. But let's talk about how we would like this video or this story to go out into the world of Ezra, Anna, and all of that, which was completely made by AI. So we're going to talk about how we're going to disseminate it, and then if it's going to be any good, and then how we're going to make it good and really tell this story. So I'm interested in the how everybody would like to see this go. So please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in more of my writing, check out in the link below. I have a pre-sale for Eliza and the Author, which I'll be making another video about, but this will be about how I use it. Um, but yeah, that's just specifically how AI can do all your writing for you if you don't know how to write, and we can make it good. So until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay calm. It's just a game, guys.